please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Gilbert,
Here.
Mr. Detzel,
Here.
Mr. Yoshimura,
Here.
Mrs. Detzel, here. Mr. Teetsort.
Here.
Great. This for the Northwest Board of Education. Please stand with me for the pledge. Okay, next agenda item is, are there any legislative updates? No.
No, the legislation hasn't been meeting. They return this week. So hopefully I'll have something to report at our next meeting.
Great. Thank you, Matt. Jim, any Butler Tech updates?
No. Well, one update is Butler Tech is going back and opening up the adult ed starting, I believe it's next week. So, you know, they have changed the classrooms around a little bit for the social distancing. And they're smaller classes anyway, so it's not a difficult class. I mean, you don't have 30 kids in a class. You know, you may have 10 to 15, you know, adults in there. So that is starting back up. I believe it's next week.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. All right. Since we are having a virtual session for the Board of Education, we had an opportunity for the employee organizations to submit questions or statements electronically. And for this meeting, there were no submissions. And the same for community comments. There were no community comments sent in for us. And the next agenda item, 11.1, is the adoption of the superintendent consent items. This is our third meeting utilizing the consent agenda format. All the topics have been reviewed by the board members. The following items were covered in the consent agenda item. First is personnel, multiple revised job descriptions, vendor contracts, and 2020-2021 K through 12 grading report handbook. Just a reminder, if any board member would like to discuss any of these agenda items, he or she has the opportunity to make that motion to pull that item from the consent agenda and discuss and vote independently. Take it away, Todd.
All right. The superintendent recommends that the Board of Education approve the superintendent's consent items as listed.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Vote passes 5-0. The next is the fiscal consent items. Amy?
The treasurer recommends the Board of Education approve the adoption of the fiscal consent items, including dispensing with reading of
Several communications via our school email and our website and phone app. This is my chance to plug for you that our phone app is phenomenal. Our school website is phenomenal. Please visit it to get all information. It also has all contact email, as we currently are not in the office and will not be for the month of May. However, we are all have established office hours. We get any phone call to our main lines that is shipped directly to our email, and we can call you back. We're checking email basically 24/7, but we will get back to you as quickly as possible with any questions you have, as many things will come up toward the end of the school year. So we are more than happy to engage you and find, if I don't know the answer, I will find the answer. But our website is phenomenal with a list of not only things to keep your eyes out for, but a list of great stories. We've been in the news a lot, and in the newspapers, and a lot of good things are out there. The phone app is very easy to download, so take advantage of that if you have not. We have started both a superintendent and curriculum county-wide meeting between Hamilton and Butler County superintendents and curriculum departments. And we're looking at 3 possible scenarios for next year, which is what we've been told to look at by the Ohio Department of Education and the governor. Scenario 1 is school is opening on time with no restrictions next year. I think we're ready for that and can move quickly. They also asked us to look at scenario 2, which is some type of adjusted schedule where some kids are at school on alternating days, figuring out how to do social distancing, spacing guidelines within the school. And then the last scenario, and I don't think anybody wants this, but it is a reality of what could occur, is we are going to start next school year the way we ended this school year. Again, all of this is yet to be determined. We do not expect to get any full guidance till the middle or end of June on how next school year will look. I think a lot of it goes on testing, how many tests they can get out, and then what requirements they're going to have for us. So as a school, we are going to abide by anything we can for the safety of our kids. That is our most important thing. So if testing would come out and they would want our kids to get tested, we would work as a group collectively to figure out how to make that happen. But as of right now, we just don't know. I'm very proud of both high schools. They are both having a virtual graduation, May 18th for Northwest High School and May 19th for Colerain High School. Had the pleasure of working with Waycross Community and Television, and they have videotaped my part and several other parts. Chip Berquist and Community Waycross have been phenomenal in working with both our high schools. And as always, they want to make sure we put on the best virtual graduation we can. They also have scheduled another time for students that they will be putting information out on, where you can sign up to have your child go across the stage as a senior and have a photo op and their name announced. I just want folks to realize that we will be strictly enforcing to make sure we meet all guidelines. We will only allow a certain amount in the area where the pictures can be taken. And we just ask that you understand, whether you agree with what's going on right now or not, that you please respect what they're trying to do. We are working with our local agencies on everything we can to make sure our kids, especially our seniors, have a closing type ceremony through virtual and in person, because they have been cut out of their graduation for guidance that we have received from ODE. So I applaud Mr. Fisher and Mrs. Smith for their efforts to have the 2 separate activities and celebrating our awesome seniors. For general information, our last day of virtual learning, prepare meals prior to Thursday, where each of our 3 sites have 3 lines of cars to pull through. Doing an outstanding job, considering it's pretty much a guess at how many will come through each week. So you don't know at any given time, but they've been ready. We had a little bit of struggle our first time because we're trying to figure out how it all works, but they have nailed it these last couple times. And I applaud them. Last week it was raining, this week a little colder, a little windy. But they are truly the heroes of our community and do an outstanding job. A couple things about how we ended the school year. The hardest part is how we ended it, and equity is a huge issue for us. We want all parents and students to be able to participate in virtual learning. The average estimated percent of students that our teachers are reaching with remote learning is around 73%. And that fluctuates based on which school you're at. And that bothers me because we are committed to making sure it's 100%. So we've started delivering packets. We've started trying to do everything we can to reach out to our students, contact them. We're not collecting the packets because of what could be transferred back and forth, but to give the students packets. Our teachers are working overtime, calling, trying to connect with parents. But you know, Wi-Fi becomes the biggest issue. We have a Chromebook for every student. That's not a problem whatsoever. The problem is, what good is a Chromebook without the connectivity? So we have ordered Kajits, which is a Wi-Fi provider. We're in the process of testing it out. We've talked to other school districts. Do you put it in a central hub in a complex apartment? Do you put it in a neighborhood? Our schools are already accessible in the parking lots. But as we start next year, if this is how we will start again, there will be 100% learning going on, because we cannot have equity issues keeping some kids from getting their education and some not. That has been the biggest adjustment, basically by all school districts. And so we continue to get more relief from what the Verizons of the world are doing, the AT&T, the mobile services that are out there and the hotspots they're providing. We're working on getting E-rate, which reduces fund for public education, so we can get more hotspots, and doing our best to make sure all students get there. But we're doing a great job with doing that, and we continue to work hard. Another last thing I'd like to thank is our parents. Man, you are heroes in the community also. Our students and staff are heroes, working hard. Parents are trying to work at home, educate their kids, provide entertainment for them, cook dinner, prepare things, entertain. It's a lot to put on your plate. You are to be applauded for what you're accomplishing. I am very proud to be a part of this community and part of the team that is working. I could not be more proud of our teachers, our staff members, everybody top to bottom, working hard to get the best education they can for our kids, making phone calls daily, while also trying to balance their family at home and doing what it takes. Lastly, we miss our students. We miss them, so much. They're why all of us got into the business. We want to make a difference in kids' lives. Our seniors will hopefully never again experience anything like this. So I applaud them for finishing strong and wish them nothing but the best as they move forward. If you want to know who a senior is, look at the yard signs. Both high schools have done an excellent job. I've seen them for being a senior, maybe being in Senate, maybe being in a sport. It's just phenomenal seeing all the community reaching out to our kids and making sure they get the attention that they will not get, but doing everything they can to make sure they do. So we're very proud of them. And then the very last thing is make sure you're checking emails from the schools. Every school is starting to schedule a pickup date for students' belongings and returning items. Very important that you follow the guidelines that are established with social distancing and going into the school. They'll set up scheduled times. They're not even bringing in every staff member at a time, because we have to make sure that we keep them distant. So we might even look at things like one teacher per grade level pod. So if you have 6 first grade classes, only one teacher would be on one day, then the next teacher the next. We're looking at everything we can just to make it safe. We're trying to get things together so parents do not go in the buildings and kids do not go in the buildings, that we can go like a drive-through service and get that out to you. This is something we continue to work on. Guidelines will be coming out. And it's one of those things where if you haven't seen an email that tells you how to do that, just let us know and we will get the information to you and have somebody give you a phone call to make sure you're clear on what's going on. So this will be the last board meeting before school is officially out. And I again want to thank the parents, the students, and our staff. Outstanding job by all. Very proud of your efforts. You had a challenge, you accepted the challenge, and you've done very well, and we're very proud of you. So that's all I have.
Great. Thank you,
I
Tom.
got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
When you made that comment about 73% of the students are engaged, have we thought about the beginning of next school year not being taught on the computer, like maybe have an A-B schedule, have the kids, half of them come in one day, the opposite day, the other half, and then the half that it's not there, then would that be easier to monitor if the kids are getting on the computer?
Yeah.
Instead of having 30 kids in a classroom, are you going to have a teacher teach 15 kids one day and the other 15 the next day? And then what happens when what about lunch? You're not going to throw 500 kids into a cafeteria. I mean, are you looking at maybe box lunches? What are we looking at, or is all this on the table, or it's not, or are we just waiting from the state what their suggestions are or what they think?
Yeah, all good questions, and all questions I'm sure our community has. We just don't know. We don't know what we're going to be allowed to do. So yes, we will look at alternating day schedules. Yes, we will look at how to best service the kids, and there will be a combination of remote learning and paper and pencil that has to go out. But most importantly, we also have to respect and understand where parents are coming from. And I've received emails from parents who are worried about coming back to school altogether next year and want to know what the possibility of just remote learning is. So I think as we move forward and we find out more, it's just too early right now to know.
Sure.
We've been on superintendent calls. We've been with legislators. We've been with everybody we can. And OD and legislation have two different viewpoints. One's worried about the economy, which I am also. Our parents need to be to work. So we'll look at everything. If we don't come back to school, then we got to look at how we provide daycare, because how can a parent work if we're on virtual learning again? So
Sure.
we'll take pride in that. We'll look at that, but we're open for any and all options, and we're looking at everything. We're just waiting for that guidance that comes out. And so that'll be the true determining factor, but we're going to be prepared for the three scenarios. One, come back, no changes whatsoever, regular school year. Two, AB schedule, how we make that work, where 50% is coming, 50% staying home. And three, back to virtual learning, but we can't have only 73%. It's got to be 100%, and that's the number one goal.
Right. Do you see more where you got to have the kids in front of a teacher more in the first, second, third grade, the elementary types, compared to obviously to the high school, where a high school student can get on a computer at any time, or middle school teacher or student? But do you feel that the elementary kids, the younger kids, need to have that one-on-one with the teacher in a classroom than compared to sitting a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old sitting at a computer like we're doing now for 3 or 4 hours a day? That,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I'm just saying, I'm just thinking, is this something that's going to have to be, addressed also? I think, I don't know.
All perfect examples. How do you ensure that a preschooler, a kindergarten, and a first grader are going to keep their mask on the entire day?
Right.
And how does that look? But yes, the one-on-one is important. Being in front of a teacher is important. So reevaluating how we're doing things, but making sure that reading and math become the strong focus in pre-K through at least 4th or 5th grade, because as we've said always, if you can't read, then you can't determine any type of math solution or science solution. And we need math and science in our kids' lives. That's where some thrive. We need the arts. We need the music. We need the activity through the PE classes. We need it all back together. I just don't know how long it's going to be before that can occur.
Right.
And that becomes the hard part. But we will look at every avenue. And, I'm amazed. I guess I would say this. I'm amazed at what our teachers did in about a month and a half and how fast they turned it around. You give them 3 months to think over the summer into the start of the next school year, and all of us that long to get better. We're going to be really good at this no matter what we have to do. So very proud of their efforts.
Okay.
Todd,
Todd,
I
I was
wanted
wondering,
to
do you
ask you a
mind-
question. The thing about, I hate to deal with the reality here, but, some people are saying that there might be a spike. I think DeWine's going to let up a little bit. He's going to open up a few things, parks and stuff like that. What if it spikes up again? Are we in the same boat that we were before? Or is DeWine going to get on there and say, look, we're going to have to delay the school year?
I think he could go either way. We have to
Todd?
wait to see what the data shows. But I think the more we have tests available, then the obvious is more people are going to show that they either have the antibodies or they've tested positive. And I do think in a way it affects schools. Remember, a lot of people say, get kids in schools. They're not getting it. They're not affected by it. Well, we have asthmatic children, we have diabetic children. And most importantly, they're going home to parents. They're going home to grandparents. So when he looks at the whole picture, he's just not looking at the school. And some of the data from other countries, as our legislators will bring up to us, show that the kids are not being affected that extreme. But to me, all it takes is one kid. And if it's ill-fated, that's one too many. So I don't know where we're going and what we'll do, but we will abide by his guidance and just continue to keep our ears open and put out as much information as we can once we hear more.
Has DeWine been in touch with the superintendents at all?
He
Throughout
has
the school?
He
This-
has reached out to some, mostly in the Columbus area, but each educational service center has groups of superintendents like myself who are reporting weekly. We have weekly meetings where we bring up some of the things that are causing us issues and then things that we need to address. We also have your association, Ohio School Boards Association, and BASA, which is the Buckeye Association of School Administrators, with lobbyists in there trying to get things determined. What we know right now is, yeah, he canceled testing this year, but testing's not going to work next year either because you have nothing to balance it on. The whole system of trying to show growth is now no good for the next 3 years. So we have to make adjustments, figure out what is the biggest thing K-5 is missing and get them caught up in that area. And then we've got to work closely with Butler Tech, their hands-on programs, their online learning. How do we make sure those kids get in place? And then our high school kids, they've got to have a good chance of passing AP classes, our college credit plus classes, and then just offering what we can. And whether that's virtually or in person, it all depends. You know, there's some kids who, I don't care if they have the best Mac computer in front of them, the best Wi-Fi in the world, they still need an adult working with them. And so those are the things we're trying to work with.
Okay, one more question. You're in the process, or the kids are in the process of taking their online AP courses or exams, correct? Or
Yes,
First
all AP
first
courses
and second week
will
in
have
May?
scheduled times where they sign up and take the courses online, like colleges are doing with their exams.
But I'm
Do
assuming.
we get any statistical analysis of any of the scores and who, and percentages taken by the students who are taking the AP courses? And will the scores be made public? Not the kid's name. I understand that. But I mean, in general, can we have a breakdown of,
Yeah, every year we,
AP courses from
Yeah.
high school to high school?
each
whatever.
AP course we offer, we have how many kids tested, and then we have how many kids got 5 points, 4 points, 3 points, 2 points. All of that will be available, yes.
Okay,
Todd,
thank you.
I'm assuming we're looking at things too, as far as, I mean, I worry about our bus drivers. I mean, to put 60 kids on a bus, I mean, it's kind of hard to social distance on a bus. And, if you spread them out every other seat or something, you're not going to get them the route all to school on time. So are we looking at different ideas for that? And I noticed how the airlines are really stepping up different things they're doing, like spraying down the seats and with different things. Are we looking at that kind of stuff too?
Yeah, the pre-planning for all of that is beginning. If we go to an AB schedule where if you had a class of 24 and you bring 12 in, one, how do you keep 12 first graders from wanting to be side to side the minute you turn your back? Same thing on a bus, even more tight quarters. Go every other seat, that's not a problem. But again, the bus driver is driving the bus and try to make sure that everybody stays where they're supposed to be. It's going to take a coordination of parents talking to their kids, us repeating it in the school day, and then the bus drivers enforcing what they need to happen. They're greeting everyone. So not only do they have a child getting on and off their bus, they might have a parent there who might step on the first step and just trying to keep them 6 foot away. But all of that will be planned for. UTS drivers who we have to use sometimes for transportation, our own van drivers who do an outstanding job as we get more and more vans. They're in a very close quarter with a van. And if you have one kid and an aide, you've got 3 adults and there's no way you can space 6 feet apart in those vans. So all of those things we're looking at. Jim brought up earlier lunch. Yeah, that'd be different. We could do lunch. You put X's, you don't move to the next X, just like you do everywhere else until the kid in front of you moves. And then you sit at tables and do the spacing that way. That we can figure out. It's just how much can we do and what can we do that's best for our kids. And I'm very interested, like all of you have said, what happens when we start opening up more on May 12th? What's going to happen in these other states where they're going full blast here, and Indiana is saying they're starting everything in July and everything's wide open? I I don't know how you can plan for that until we live through it. And but I do think the one key that we have talked about is the better they get at testing and the more tests we get, then we can start to identify the antibodies, who's had it, and then we can do things differently. But man, it's just getting that information, because remember when we first started, we would test somebody and then 6 days later we'd get the results. So these numbers were kind of false coming out. There was 1,000, but 6 days ago we tested another 1,000 people. So what's the real number? So I think all of that's going to start to blow up the numbers by itself. So it'll be interesting.
Pam,
So
did you have
Todd,
a-
what I've gotten some feedback on how the High School Athletic Association has closed facilities till the end of June.
Yep.
So there's community members that like to use the tracks, for example, to walk, and they're not understanding why we have these facilities closed. Can you elaborate on like the repercussions of what would happen if the football team were to players take it upon themselves to practice as a group, for example?
Yeah, 100% no contact is what OHSA is saying. So if a group of football players come up and want to use the field, they'll be removed immediately per Ohio High School and per Amy Acton's orders through June 30th. And this includes AAU teams that usually use our gym on a regular basis. You talk about baseball fields, you talk about that. We've got to wait till we get clearance, because there's not even been clearance on how a traveling baseball team could play, because you have 9 people on the field at one time and a batter and a catcher and an umpire. So I've heard discussions where does the umpire stand behind the fence and call balls? I mean, it gets to the point where you just don't know. So we are closed because of what we've been told. If we are allowed to open the track for walking, we have done that in the past. We took all our basketball goals down because we worked with Colerain Township. They were getting a lot of complaints from community members that kids were gathering and playing 3-on-3 and 5-on-5. So we took those goals down per their request. So one person might be saying, well, they need to be putting the goals back up and the schools need to be open. But you have a lot of other people that are saying, no, they don't. And so it's a very divided kind of place of where you are with this and what you believe. And the economy is the biggest thing for us, because the economy affects our funding. But we will, if people have requests, they put them into the township, and the township goes, that's more of a school request. You need to talk to them because it's their property. So Jeff Milt sends them to us, which we appreciate. But right now we're just trying to follow the guidelines that have been established and thrown out there. So that's, if it's closed, that's why it's because of directives we're getting from OHSAA about sports. But the governor and Amy Acton's stay home order through May 29th is why the other facilities, because we don't have the manpower to go and separate people. The police don't have the manpower to show up and separate 4-on-4 playing basketball.
Todd, today I saw where Sinclair Community College canceled all their athletics for the year 2021. So, I mean, that's a college that's canceling all their athletics for the whole year. I mean, do you foresee, I just can't foresee high schools continuing all that if the colleges are going to, here's the first one here locally, they're up in Dayton, obviously, but, are you anticipating not having athletics, or what's your gut feeling, or do you have one?
I don't know what I have. My feeling is hope, and I will go to bed and pray for these athletes and these students to be able to come back in our building, because our kids miss our teachers, kids miss our coaches. I know Indiana has already put a waiver in place where high school athletes do not have to have a physical prior to playing. If you've tried to get into the doctor lately, you are very limited on what you can do. So to try to get all these athletes in the greater area of Cincinnati a physical would be very, very, very difficult, even starting scheduling right now. So some type of waiver is going to have to happen on that. How you can ever keep any social distancing from sports besides golf and tennis, it's tough. I mean, volleyball would be a possibility, but 2 kids dive after a ball, sweat goes from one face to another. That's one of the things they're worried about. Same thing with soccer, same thing with football. So maybe they come back and there's different areas, because golf courses are open right now. But we don't know. I think Ohio High School is kind of doing what we're doing. They're waiting for the governor and Amy to act in to release things. So until we know that, my hope is they get some type of season. But as testing comes out, if the numbers get better and better, maybe we have a delayed start to the fall, or maybe we're able to start on time. But either way, I hope they get to.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? All right, thank you, Todd.
Thanks.
Next are board member comments. Matt, do you have any comments?
I'd just like to take this opportunity to congratulate all our seniors at both Northwest and Colerain High School. And, I'm thankful for each school and what they're doing in the virtual sense, and also the in-person, what they're attempting to do to, make the best of the situation that's at hand.
Yep.
And thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Joe?
I just want to congratulate the parents in their struggle and their intestinal fortitude with putting up with their kids, and added to the fact that a lot of these parents in our district are collecting unemployment or they're out of jobs. So they, that's an extra pressure that's put on these parents. So good luck with them and stay safe and secure. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Pam?
One, I want to echo what Todd said as far as the staff. I think they're doing an amazing job. Every day you see another creative way they're reaching out and engaging their students. The parades are so cool. I know Struble had theirs last Saturday. As far as all the signs, I've seen signs popping up from Colerain for their teachers. And I want to let Susan know how awesome it looks to see all the senior banners up there in front of the high school. That's really special. So I think everybody, as you can hear, just the questions, and it's just, everything's just up in the air. I think that's the scary part. We just don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. But I'm with Todd as far as I hope the kids things get some type of normalcy, and we do get to see kids performing in their band and orchestra and chorus and the plays and all the athletes. I hope that next year at some point we get to do that. But for now, I just really want to thank the staff for doing such an amazing job. And I know they miss their kids and the kids miss them too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, Pam. Jim?
Yeah, I'd just like to echo what the previous three board members have said. And just like Pam just said, the staff is it's unbelievable what they're doing. And I mean, they had such a short time to figure this out. Like Todd, you said, let's give them 3 months to figure something out. And, hopefully, we won't have to worry about that. But just want to thank our food service people. I can't thank them enough to get those meals out to, the families that really need it. And just wish everybody good luck and stay healthy.
Mark, can I add one thing?
Sure, absolutely.
I know we keep talking about our athletes, but another group of students that I just feel so bad for are all the kids that are enrolled in Butler Tech that work so hard all year to compete, whether it's in the office or all the different areas, and to accomplish and make it to the state level. And we've got a great representation every year at the national level. I know Jim and I, before this had happened, we were visiting over at Northwest in Megan's class with the athletic training. They were so excited because all their jackets had just come in. They were all dry cleaned and they were all there waiting for the kids that were going to wear them for competition. And that never did happen. And they're not going to get that moment back. And a lot of those kids get hired, and that's where they start their career because of what they've done at that, in those different competitions. So we're thinking about all of you as well. Thanks.
Thanks, Pam. My heart goes out to the 2020 graduates at Northwest and Coleraine. I know that this has been a very atypical year, and no one could have ever predicted this. This does not in any way impact your hard work and determination to complete your studies. Your graduation will be the most unique than any other graduating class at either of these two schools. Know that our leadership is working to make your end of the year the most honorable for you and to honor all of your hard work. We are working within the guidelines that local, state, and federal guidelines will allow. Know that each and every one of you are very special to all of us, the educators, the administrators, and all of us board members. God bless each of you and stay safe. And that concludes our meeting. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And we all agree to end the meeting. Thank you for watching the board meeting. Please feel free to reach out to any of the administration or your educators if you need anything. And we will keep you as up to date as we possibly can. Thank you.